Talking about trigonometry, what was the magic word? SOHCAHTOA. And what does SO stand for? Sine of the angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, it's always sine, cosine, tangent of an angle, not just sine, cosine, tangent. Opposite over hypotenuse. What did cos stand for? And what did TOA stand for?
Tangent of an angle equals opposite over.
Okay. Yeah, so opposite is the side across from the angle. But this is our angle, this would be opposite. Adjacent is the one that's next to, but not the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the big side across from the 90. I can't remember if we talked about this yesterday, but I think we did. If this is angle A, what's this called? Side A with the little a. If this is angle B, this is side B. So the side opposite the angle this is side C with a little c. Okay. So what's new, we did this kind of yesterday, is well, something actually is new today too though. If we have an angle right here, and let's say we had a side that's like 12, how could I figure out what x is? You guys remember how we did this? So relative to this angle, what side am I looking for? Opposite. What side do I have already? Which trig function uses opposite and adjacent? So tangent of 32 is supposed to tell us the opposite over the adjacent ratio. Okay, how did we solve this yesterday? How do we solve this for x? Right, if it's divided by 12 to solve for x, you would multiply by 12. That would get rid of the 12s. And then over here, whatever tangent of 32 times 12 is. Remember, if you use your calculator, you need to make sure you close tangent of 32 before you multiply by 12. Anyway, that would give us x. How could I find this angle right here? I don't think we did this yesterday, but how could I find that? 180 minus these two. The 180 minus 90 is 90. So in a right triangle, these two should add up to 90, so you can just do 90 minus that. So it'd be like 58. Okay, what if I want y? So using this 32-degree angle, this is the what side? And this is the hypotenuse. Which trig function is adjacent to hypotenuse? So cosine of 32 should equal adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, what did we do if the variable was on the bottom? Right, multiplied by y, so it moves up here. And over here it just goes away. And what did we do with the cosine? How do we get rid of a multiplied value? Divide it. So remember, these two kind of just switch places. You divide by cosine 32, it goes down there. So y would equal 12 divided by cosine 32, whatever that is. Okay, the new thing, there is a new thing today, is this. So let's start with the hypotenuse. How could I find that side right there? Yeah, Pythagorean theorem. 7 squared plus 9 squared equals x squared. Today we are going to be, it says round to the 10th place, so we won't put square root answers on that. We will put decimal answers. Okay, but what is new is how do I find this angle right here? It says angle A or something. Okay, so you kind of start the same way we started the other question. We don't know what angle A is, but relative to angle A, what two sides do I know? Opposite and adjacent. Which trig function was that? So tangent of angle A is supposed to equal opposite over adjacent. So this is, how is this different from yesterday?
You gotta find a degree.
Right, we're missing the degrees, the angle measurement, instead of one of the sides. We know the two sides, but now the variable's over here. So how do we go backwards to figure out what this angle has to be to give us 7/9? Okay, it's called tangent inverse. And it would be like your shift tangent button. Tangent inverse of 7/9 is going to spit out the angle. So that's new. What did it come out to? 37.9. Okay. So this angle is 37.9 degrees. Well, how could I do B?
Plus 90 plus x equals 90.
Yeah, you could do something similar like tangent inverse of 9/7. But yeah, these three have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 90 is 90. 90 minus 37.9 would give you that angle. Okay, so you don't have to really do that on both of them. You just subtract for the second one. Okay, that's it. That's the new stuff. Number 1 says sine of 41. Use a calculator to find a decimal approximation to 4 decimal places of each trigonometric ratio. So you just plug that in your calculator. Let's all try it, make sure we got the right buttons pushed. Sine of 41 equals what? 16561. Make sure you round correctly the last digit. Or I'll take points off. Number 3, what's tangent of 82? 0.1154 or 7.1154, right? Okay, number 5. Okay, 5 is different. You guys see what's different on 5? It says use a calculator to find the measure of each angle to the nearest tenth of a degree. What is different about number 5? Right, to find the angle you have to use cosine inverse. So if cosine of B is 0.8740, to find angle B, we need to do cosine inverse of 0.8740. And it said round to the tenths place. What's the tenths place?
The first decimal.
First decimal.
Wait, did this work on yesterday's assignment or no? But this button worked yesterday's assignment?
Yeah, they just didn't ask us angles yesterday. But if they would have, we could have used it, yeah.
Whoops.
Works on any right triangle. All these tricks work on any right triangle. You have to have at least 2 pieces of information about the right triangle besides the 90-degree angle. Okay, number 7. This is basically what we did yesterday on this part. Just solving this triangle for x here. Got 17 degrees, 20 meters. All right, so how can we set up for x? I'm trying to remember who I called on yesterday. Who did I not call on yesterday? Anna, relative to this angle, what 2 sides do I have here?
B and C.
Relative to this angle, x is the what side?
Adjacent and
Hypotenuse. Yeah, now we can't use the opposite because you can't have two variables in your equation. You need only one variable. So which trig function uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. Cosine of 17 degrees should equal what? Now, what's the ratio that it should equal? What's the fraction it should equal? Cosine should tell us what? Right, so what should go on top? X over 20. Okay, now if the x is on top, how do we solve this for x? Multiply by 20. So cosine of 17 degrees times 20. The direction said round to the 10th place. I think on this whole page is pretty much, almost the whole page that says that. So what does this equal? 19.1. Okay. Number 9 is find angle E. So it's on the same picture. This is angle D, this is angle E. How could we, what's the quickest way to find angle E? 180 minus 90 is 90. Just do 90 minus this acute angle to find that acute angle. 90 minus 17. Did you guys get that one right on the test yesterday? Did I ask you guys that yesterday, didn't I? The one that asked about the angle in the triangle. Okay, number 11. Okay. This one is asking for an angle that we don't yet. How could we do number 10? How could we find side Z on number 10? Pythagorean theorem, yes. Because we already have two legs, so we just use Pythagorean theorem. But on 11, we're looking for angle G, which is this one down here. And we know the 5 and 11 already. So, Anya, do you know what we're going to do?
can we do, it's the negative 1 version of it?
It's the negative version of it? Yeah, the negative 1 version of it. So, relative to G, what two sides do I know here?
11 and 5.
Are the what sides?
The opposite adjacent.
Which trig function uses that?
Yeah.
Right. So tangent, the normal version of tangent is tangent of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. So what are we going to plug in the calculator? Tangent inverse is what it's called, of 11/5, and that will spit out angle G.
65.6.
Okay. And then what's the next question? What's the easiest way to find angle H after that? That's number 12. But
Subtract it from 90 degrees and 65.
right, 90 minus that would do it. Okay, 13. These are the same, just word problems, but they kind of drew the picture for us. I'm not even sure you really have to read the word problem. But number 13 says Donna needs to find the distance across a pond. So what line are we looking for if we're trying to find the distance across the pond? AV. And evidently she took some measurements with the 500 feet and 37 degrees. So that's our X. Oops. The wrong thing in the wrong spot. Alright. We did not do one. Caden didn't do one.
What?
Alright, Caden, relative to this angle, what two sides do I have here?
Opposite.
Which trig function uses opposite and adjacent? Tangent of, you know what comes right here? 37 equals what?
X.
Yep, opposite over adjacent. Yes. And then what do we plug in to solve?
We multiply the front.
Multiply tan 37 times 500. What do we get?
What?
Number 15. Alright, this one has a little bit of important terminology that you guys haven't heard yet, so we can talk about it. An observer from a lighthouse sees a boat. Someone seen a lighthouse? Pretty good. Looks like a spade. What does a lighthouse look like? Good stuff. All right. So, an observer from a lighthouse sees a boat that is 8 degrees. That is at an 8-degree angle of depression. What do you think an 8-degree angle of depression means?
It's,
So, looking straight out along the horizon, that would be 0 degrees. So, an 8-degree angle of depression means he's looking down 8 degrees from straight ahead. So, like if this is him looking, he's up here in the lighthouse. If this is him looking straight out, 8-degree angle of depression would be like from that down 8 degrees. And then he sees a boat down here. And then you can kind of like complete the right triangle by just connecting those two from the boat to the horizontal. Makes a right triangle. You guys see it? By the way, if there's an 8-degree angle of depression, this guy in the boat, if he looks up, what would his angle of elevation is what they call it. What would his angle of elevation be to see the lighthouse? The guy in the lighthouse. Okay, if it's looking down at 8 degrees, the guy looking up would be 8 degrees up. So really, there's really two triangles here that are this exact same thing. You could kind of draw either one of them. So they could have said the guy in the boat had an 8-degree angle of elevation looking up, but anyway, let's get rid of that. Okay, the question was, if the observer is 140 feet above sea level, so the vertical line would be the 140 feet. How far is it from the boat to the lighthouse? So, what distance should we be looking for? Yeah, well, actually not. The lighthouse, you'd probably say, like, down here on the shore level to the boat, that would be like the distance. So it'd just be this horizontal distance. I thought this would be a little bit bigger, but if it asks like how far was the guy in the boat from the guy in the lighthouse, it would be the hypotenuse. Anybody want this before I throw it away?
I do it.
Houston?
I'm not even sure.
Catch.
Ew, basic.
That's health and goodness board now. Alright. Thought I was gonna get you to flinch.
Why would he always use tissue cloth?
Kiss terrible teacher.
Nah, you're the best. Best math teacher we have, right?
Yeah, I don't want to waste good tissue. All right. So, anyway, we got a problem just like all the rest. Relative to this angle, what two sides am I looking at here?
You're looking.
Jason? Opposite? Tangent. Tangent of 8 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. And then these two guys switch places.
Mr. Beast. No, of course it's Mr. Beast.
Chris is Mr. Queers.
But he's not even Mr. Beast.
Yes, he is.
He's just Mr.
Used to be so hot, and now he's.
He was never hot.
He was a good dude. I liked him. And now he's Chris from Mr. Beast.
He was hot. Him and Carl.
Mr. Beast has been hot since he was born.
Chandler's hot.
True. Actually, I agree with that one.
Yeah, Chandler actually.
You guys know his actual name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah. His name's Jimmy.
And then there's Chris, the mean god's real name is now Christina.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I know.
What else
Oh
would
my
you
God,
guess?
that's so sad.
Like,
Shh. All right. Jeez. Okay, 17. Back to normal. So, actually, because none of the odds have the angle question, I'm going to do 16, 17 instead of 17, 19. Okay, so it says solve each right triangle. What do you think they mean by solve the right triangle?
find me it.
Oh my gosh, read it.
Okay, find, it means find all the missing parts. How many parts are missing, like on 16, for example? No, just 3. Now, the angle Y is 90, that's a given, right? You don't have to write that down.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But we need angle X, angle Z, and side Y. Let's start with side Y. How can we find side Y? Pythagorean theorem. 12 squared, I don't think this one comes out very nicely. 12 squared plus 15 squared equals y squared, so you have to take the square root at the end. You can do it all at once just like that. And we're still rounding to the tens place, by the way. No square root answers on this assignment. Yeah, so if your calculator's not a genius, it'll actually work better.
Let's go. What? So like if you have like a Casio.
Casio?
You can push a button.
You have to push an extra button.
Put it in Google Translate. Let's see if it's Casio. I want it to be Casio because everybody sounded nice.
I think-
Say either, but
I think Casio sounds better.
The Casio would be like a 2S.
What'd you guys get?
it's
19.2?
Who's left different?
Okay, but for the other question, it's asking for the angles, Z and X. So, how do we find angle Z? Relative to angle Z, what two sides do I have here? Adjacent and opposite, which means tangent. Tangent of angle Z is supposed to equal the opposite over the adjacent. So, to find angle Z, we have to do tangent inverse of that.
The tangent or like inverse button is kind of it's like hidden. In a mountain.
What do we get? 51.3 degrees. So that's one of the answers. And then just to find the last answer, what's the fastest way to do it? Angle X.
Yeah, 180. So
90 minus that equals that.
Yeah.
So it'd be 38.7.
Yippee!
So there's 3 answers.
It's in the bomb.
Number 17. Okay, 17 is the other kind where they have one of the acute angles given. So that means finding the other angle is going to be easy. Angle A is going to be 90 minus 68. So it's just 22. And then we also need B and C. The bottom is 3 miles. 3 miles. Alright. So starting with side B, I guess. Relative to 68, side B is the what? Opposite. 3 is the, which means tangent of 68 equals opposite over adjacent. We've done a lot of tangents today. And like 0 sines. I think actually number 8 is a sine. Has anybody tried 8 yet? Probably. So you have to do tangent of 68 times 3, and that comes out as 7.4. Okay, now technically, since we have B, you could use Pythagorean theorem to find C. However, because we rounded B off, if we did that, we would be in danger of getting a slightly wrong answer. Because 7.4 is not the exact answer. So what? I said something. So let's use trigonometry to find C. So relative to 68 degrees, C is the what side? Hypotenuse. 3 is still the adjacent. That makes adjacent hypotenuse cosine. Cosine of 68 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. C is in the denominator. Therefore, we're going to be dividing. C equals 3 divided by cosine of 68. 8.0.
I always I think I messed up like a lot on the dividing ones. I'm still confused on that. I don't know why.
Multiply by C, so it goes up here.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't my brain